Brett, who is your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is Tim Pool, who is protesting a bit too much when it comes to the surgical openings of trans women. He is obsessed with trans people in a way that is so sexualized, and not by anybody else but Tim Pool. This phone call is coming from inside the house, Tim. Here's his first tweet. A neovagina is a surgical wound that will close if not dilated with a medical device. The purpose of a neovagina is for a homosexual male to penetrate for pleasure. This is not disrespectful. This is factual. Tim Pool, you meant it as disrespectful 100%. That is
120.
And like, listen, nobody said anything. And Tim Pool's like, the new vagina is gay sex. Next up, here's another one. Responding to someone who did not want the blowback from whatever Tim Pool seized upon. A male inserting his penis into another male is homosexual, but I suppose it's fair to argue that a male who inserts his penis into a wound has some other predilection. And then finally, the most tenuous of all Tim Pool, you could call them, arguments, is to look at the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition with Kim Petras, who apparently is a trans woman. Tim Pool said the attempt to normalize men having homosexual sex with a surgical wound grafted to another man's pelvis is quite alarming. Sir, you're trying to tell me that that's not a hot chick, to put it in the parlance of D-bags who wear beanies inside. Like there is so much wrong with his general argument about this. This weird obsession with like having to call this homosexual. Like, why is that the hill you're dying on? You're vilifying homosexuality. I don't agree with that characterization, but in your own characterization, you're saying essentially that it is an insult. And you want to make that insult to call homosexuality a bad thing. Mm-hmm. That's the only motivation that you have. And don't tell me you don't, because you're saying, I'm just calling it homosexual. It's ridiculous. But we know that the fap king of America right now, the guy who outed himself as the dude who undeniably, I would put money on it, his top search history is just trans porn. You know it in your heart to be true. It's Tim frickin' Pool. No one is that obsessed with calling vaginas wounds more than like, I don't know, Sarah Silverman in 2002 and Tim Pool today.
I will grant that a case could be made that this is, I'm gonna say PFG, post-FAP guilt, I think.
Oh, 100%.
But it's convenient politically. If he could just tweet like super detailed trivia about Charizard, and that gets young conservatives to not care if they're ever able to retire, I think he'd be willing to do that. I think this is just a little bit, it hits harder for conservatives than Charizard trivia. But yeah, it's super weird. What is wrong with you? Like, whatever alpha male traditional masculinity needs to be according to a conservative, how the hell is it this?
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.